If you've ever tried building the perfect Ramza in Final Fantasy Tactics, then you already know he's not your average main character. Sure, he starts out as a simple squire, but by the end of the game, he can become one of the strongest players on the battlefield. That is, if you actually build him right. And the problem is most players waste time leveling useless jobs or chasing abilities that sound good on paper but don't scale well into the endgame. And that's why in today's video, we're breaking down the ultimate Ramza build for Final Fantasy Tactics. We're going to walk you through the entire job progression path, explain exactly which abilities to grab first and which to hang on to. Also, you can efficiently reach his endgame form, the dual-wielding ninja monk hybrid that literally deletes enemies before they even get a turn. So, if you want the ultimate one-man army Ramza build that can heal, revive, and hit twice before anything else moves, then this is the video for you. This build is designed to arrive at the ninja for endgame, chapter 4, and deep dungeon. So this is going to be built around progressing Ramza through physical damage, unlocking those abilities and skills along the way, but especially so you don't have to double back to useless jobs later on. With that said, let's jump right into how the progression works and what are the most needed abilities to take. So starting off, there are two main jobs that you're going to want to focus on for Ramza to get to endgame. The first goal is to reach the monk and then eventually the ninja. So you're going to need to follow two distinct paths in order to make the best build possible. Now first, to reach monk, you're going to start with the squire, obviously. You can stay as squire for quite a while on Ramza without progressing to other jobs. Here you'll want to learn the basics like throw stones so you can hit targets that are further away and earn some early job points. JP boost, of course, is really helpful for progressing through abilities even faster. And then abilities like counter tackle and movement +1 can help you fill out all of the slots on your build at the start of the game. Focus is also a great early squire ability. This lets you grind up your JP even faster. You don't have to be in combat to use focus. You can just use it on every turn regardless. Now, you want to get to Knight level 3 next. You can take equip swords if you want from the Knight, just as like a temporary ability because the monk is going to be obviously a lot more powerful. Remember, Ramza can equip different armor too, so it's not that useful to play as a knight on the main character. But that lets you eventually hit the monk job, where you can learn chakra, revive, aura blast, shockwave, counter, and then eventually one of the best skills, first strike. You can use the monk for as many levels as you want once you get to this position because it does have great stat boosting all along the way. However, if you want to get ninja and learn dual wield, which we do recommend, that will actually double your damage. So the next path is going to be how to unlock ninja. To reach ninja, you're going to have to progress the archer job to level 4. Now, the archer is not great. It's definitely inferior to other job progressions in this game. So you want to get it over quickly. You can farm through the archer levels, make sure you have JP boost equipped, spam your focus from the squire just to get through it. The only ability really worth learning here is concentration, maybe aim +1 or +2 if you have some extra JP left over. Next up, you'll need to unlock Thief level 5. There are some decent abilities here you can pick up if you want to. Steelheart is also another pretty powerful option in the early game. This actually charms enemies, so it basically takes them out of the fight completely. Do save up though for movement +2. The movement ability is definitely better than the Squire's movement +1, and you can pretty much use this one throughout the entire game. You can grab Poach as well from the Thief, which does help when playing as a ninja because you can kill beasts and sell their skins for materials. Next, you'll need Geomancer level 2. Stick with Geomancer at least to unlock the attack boost ability. This is going to help a lot with ninja gameplay, since ninjas have that built-in dual wield, which can be buffed by the Geomancer attack boost. But that does bring you to the ninja job, which is kind of the ultimate, I feel like, for Ramza. The number one priority here, of course, is going to be dual wields, double your damage, but the throwing skills are also really useful at range. You can pick up Throw Shuriken very cheaply, just so you can kind of see how powerful these are. Yeah, that's really the main progression. But I do want to go into more specific details on abilities in terms of what you can get at the start of the game and how you can progress. You want to make sure you always have something equipped, even at level 1, all the way to max level in terms of actions, reactions, support, and of course, movement. Now for actions, remember you have both primary and secondary actions in Final Fantasy Tactics. Your primary is the current job that you are, while secondary can come from any other job that you've learned. Now starting off, the abilities from the Squire under the metal category are actually a pretty good starting place for Ramza with key abilities like we mentioned, Focus, that lets you increase your damage, but can also help a lot when you're farming JP to make your build stronger. From there, as we said, you'll want to get into the martial arts abilities from the Monk. And you can stick with Monk for a while until you unlock most of those abilities because they are good. And then finally, as a ninja, you'll want to get the throw action. This is your bread and butter damage dealing range skill, lets you throw items, even unique items for massive damage. Just realize that you won't get these items back. So generally it's best to stick with bombs and shuriken to start. Now for the secondary action, I would start here with Chemist. This is nice for the really early game for a bit of extra utility. Using those items to be able to heal and revive allies is really, really helpful when you're first starting out. However, martial arts from the Monk is going to be by far the best secondary ability set once you get going. There you have those skills like Chakra and Revive. Those do the same thing. They can heal, they can revive. They do not use MP or items though. So the Monk as secondary job, probably the best in the entire game once you get to this point. Now for reaction abilities, these are skills that are going to trigger when you take damage. Starting with the Squire, you can pick up Counter Tackle. This is pretty good at the early game for just dealing a little bit of extra damage. So you will obviously want to move to the counter ability with Monk as quickly as possible. Then of course there's Auto Potion from the Chemist. This triggers a potion of the lowest quality in your inventory when you get hit in combat. This is just massive auto healing that makes it really hard to kill Ramza. This is something that you're going to want to use for a long time. You can upgrade your potions. Just remember that this does pull from the lowest quality potion in the inventory, so you're going to have to sell off those weaker potions and make sure you're only stocked with the best ones as the game gets more challenging. But that leads us to probably the best reaction ability, First Strike, again from the Monk. This is absolutely going to shred any attacker with damage before they attack you. So basically they don't even get to activate their attack in the first place. So it is 100% counter to any melee attacker, which is extremely helpful. The downside, of course, is it's not going to work on range spells, spell casting enemies, so you do want some additional options for specific fights. Now onto support abilities. JP boost from the Squire. This is going to be the best starting ability in the support range for Ramza. It's purely for grinding, power leveling your JP. You can use this on those easier random fights, but then you'll definitely want to swap it out for some of the more challenging story battles. Another great option here is actually concentration from the Archer. Now, I don't like the Archer job very much necessarily, but concentration is actually really good. This ensures that you always hit your target. It's a 100% hit chance. This is super useful on boss fights during the story where those characters often have really high evade chance and you just can't hit them at all. So when you hit the ninja job, you can swap between concentration for those situations or the attack boost that comes from the Geomancer. Attack boost is going to be the best option for PA only if you're playing as a ninja. Since you do have that built-in dual wield, you won't need to slot that. This is just going to boost all of your physical attack damage. And of course, dual wield as the support. If you're playing any other job other than ninja, this is going to be your best support ability as this allows you to attack twice. For movement options though, it is really simple. You'll of course start with unlocking movement +1 on the Squire. You can then eventually upgrade to that movement +2 ability from the Thief. There is a movement +3 on the Bard, which is great, but it can be pretty annoying to unlock all the jobs up to that point. Teleport from the Time Mage is another option, but that's a whopping 3,000 JP. And that does require, spellcasting Time Mage, so you might not get there. So the most likely movement ability is going to be movement +2 for the majority of the game. Make sure to pick up that one on the Thief. Onto gear next, which is actually quite simple on this build with the way that we set things up. The main pieces of gear you'll want on the Ramza setup is going to be those that increase your physical attack. You can sacrifice some HP for pure damage because as a ninja, you are likely to attack first. Plus with First Strike, anyone in melee range can get one shot before they even hit you in the first place. Now in game, you'll want to keep your HP around 200 to 250, but anything more than that won't be typically needed. Remember not to rely on the outfitter too for gear because typically they will equip you with max HP versus damage stats, and we do want to maximize damage for Ramza on this setup. Here are a few different options for equipment loadouts that we're going to put on screen right now. We'll have more of these listed over on our website. You can get more details at hacktheminotaur.com. Link for that will be down in the description and the pinned comment below. But for your basic sort of starting beginner monk setup. Obviously, all you need is your fists in this case at this point in the build. You can use something like the headgear for a +1 PA, the adamant vest, and then something like the power gauntlets, for example, for another 1 PA. For a more advanced setup, you can use Spellbinder as both your main weapon and secondary weapon to apply the disable status effect. This is really nice. You can use a headband with 2 PA. You could use a power garb for the chest for another 2 PA, and something like the Bracer's Accessory, which should give you around 3 PA. Let's switch gears here and talk a little bit about the best party for Ramza. In this case, you want multiple spellcasters with at least one other melee unit. And typically, you'd want AoE damage dealing spellcaster, one support, and a utility character like a thief to help you steal items in some. So let's go ahead and break that down. Now for Ramza, of course, we have the ninja/monk. You're going to basically be the frontline damage dealer for your team with a lot of self-sustain, healing, and of course you can revive allies as well. For your second melee character, another ninja or monk is actually a great choice. Ninjas are going to be good, again, for the high speed, the damage, plus the range throw attacks. Samurai can be helpful for some AoE damage and debuffs, but just keeping it simple with multiple characters that can revive and do high damage is going to be your best bet for your melee builds. Now for those ranged spellcasters, either a black mage or summoner. This is going to be your primary area effect AoE damage dealer. Their job is just to hit as many enemies as possible. And while black mage is a beginner job, it's actually extremely strong throughout the entire game. Compare this with time mage for utility, white mage for healing, or even items and throw items from the chemist for ease of play. And now for your other caster, we're going to go with either white mage or time mage. This character is going to provide your main buffs, healing, and support. A white mage focuses on healing and defense, while a time mage can be more of a buff and debuff style of build. Finally, your last spot is going to be more flexible. We did mention the thief. Thieves are high speed. They're going to be useful for stealing more rare items from enemies, but you can also use another spellcaster like a summoner to provide even more AoE damage, or add another ninja that can boost your overall melee damage output even more. Okay, let's talk about combat next. Speed is definitely your friend on this build because you're actually likely to go first with Ramza compared to other units, so the ninja is really designed to maximize that stat. You can even equip gear that gives you more speed or look to add a time mage haste on Ramza as well. This is going to allow you to take your turn more often and produce even higher damage numbers. Also make sure to consider that higher ground can give you an advantage when throwing if you're using the throw ability, so you don't need to charge into every battle. You can start by using throw from a distance, get some damage, reposition, and wait for the enemy to get closer. Now, the general way the Ramza build works is just that. You throw, you position, and then you attack. What you'll want to do is look at the enemy's movement capabilities. And if they are a spellcaster, then factor in even more additional range. Keep to the edge of where they cannot reach you and throw as soon as possible, ideally on turn number 1. This way you won't be vulnerable to tons of units attacking you right away. Then on turn number 2, you can charge in, hopefully flank the enemy unit to get the most potential damage. And on boss fights where you only need to kill one target, use every unit to attack that target on turn 1 and try to maximize your damage that way. Just remember that you can still die, and that's fine. As long as you have multiple characters with the revive option, this should be no problem. That means you can go full glass cannon with this Ramza build, charge in with first strike, and assuming the nearby enemies are melee, they sometimes will just nuke themselves by attacking you and getting a reaction to trigger. However, in the event that you do die, make sure at least 2 characters on your team have the revive ability to keep you in the fight. But that's basically it in terms of this Ramza build guide. As we said, there's a lot more detail over on the written guide. That's hacktheminotaur.com. Link for that will be in the description down below and the pinned comment if you want to check that out. Also, check out some of our other Final Fantasy Tactics guides that we have here on the channel. They'll be on your screen right now. Just click those and I will see you there.